Ngowi TV, informed economists and business perspective.
Narudi tena kwa professor, you are next. Uje kutushikisha where the world is going in the 21st century. Are we being replaced by technology? Maana tuna hofu siku hizi robots ndo zinafanya kazi, kwa hiyo everyone is worried, and hopefully you're going to answer some of our queries. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Makofi jamani.
Kwa kawaida, you know, by nitachanganya lugha sina hakika, lakini I'll mainly be speaking English. Nilichofanya kwa kawaida waliozoea huwa kawaida nakuwa na PowerPoint. As Sunday kwangu ni siku takatifu kidogo, kwa hiyo si baby laptop kabisa. So I'll present without a PowerPoint, but then my presentations will be made available. Maybe something that you should have said. Yes, I'm Professor Ngowi from Zumba University, and to put the record correct, I'm principal of Zumba University, Salaam Campus College. I was head of department some months ago, but I'm also a founder and managing director of Ngowi TV. So you'll get some of the presentations on Ngowi TV. Those of us in the WhatsApp group will get them directly, but they'll also be on our website. Not only my presentation, but all other presentations in summary form. So I was asked to talk about the world in the 21st century. So knowing exactly what this group is, I focused on the implication of the fourth industrial revolution technology on human resources, on HR. And those again who do follow my presentations, this is one of new areas that I've been speaking about, fourth industrial revolution technology. I've talked about the fourth industrial revolution technology implication, for example, for those in the logistics, for accountants, for bankers. And actually for bankers, I was with Peter in Zanzibar, and we did that. But I've done this for economists, so several places. So what's the point here? Yes, we are talking about the 21st century and where the world is going, but actually I will speak of where the world is already, because depending on where you are, looking at the fourth industrial revolution, this is, when you talk about the fourth, it implies that there have been a first, second, a third. Yeah? So the key issue is with the fourth industrial revolution is a revolution which is run by technology. The first one was a revolution where, you know, we used things like, you know, steam and power, water and steam to run our machineries, etc. The third one is the use of electricity, or rather discovery of electricity. But then the fourth industrial revolution is fusion of technology. That's the point. It's the technology. It's a revolution which is based on technological fusion. And the key issue here is not just having technology, but then having various kinds of technologies coming together. And the fusion of these technologies has changed almost everything that we are doing. It has changed the way we live, it has changed the organizations, it has changed the companies, it has changed the business models, and that's exactly where I'll be talking, but then in reference to HR. I'm an economist, but I know exactly, again, how these things are affecting HR. So the key issue here, we'll be talking about number of technologies, but then I'll focus only maybe on key one. You know, we are talking about the blockchain technology and what it has brought to the world. Blockchain has brought quite a number of technologies. It has brought, you know, cryptocurrencies, for example, the bitcoins, Ethereum, etc., etc. We are talking about artificial intelligence, and I think that's where I will zero in, where we are seeing, you know, machines and machine learning. As you said, MC, Salome, we are seeing almost machines doing what human beings we are doing. And this has quite a number of implications to HR. Yeah, if you're managing people, now you'll be managing machines. If you're recruiting people, you'll be recruiting machines. You know, those kind of stuff. So I'll come into detail into, you know, what this exactly means. We are talking about what's called the future of jobs. So the future of jobs, really, because we want to think of the future, the coming century, you know, the future of jobs will not be exactly the way it is today, for example, with things like artificial intelligence. With artificial intelligence, this is a situation where you are having machines replacing human beings. We are having robots, for example, you know, working. We are told somewhere in in Asia, specifically in China, I think, news, in the media, it's no longer people who are reading news. It is machines. It is robots. Jack Ma, this richest man among richest men in China, he has just actually launched a pub and of course a restaurant where it will not be served by human beings. It will be machines. It will be robots. Now, for you as a human resource person, do you have a job still when it's no longer persons who are managing organizations, or is it that machines now will be managing everything? Technology has changed what we call business models. The business models that we knew or that we know that we are going on now, they have been fundamentally changed. We are thinking within maybe 5 to 10 years, the businesses that we know will no longer be exactly the businesses that we know now. And typical example are businesses like, transportation. I have my friend, Mr. Abnormal Lord. That is the language that I give you. You are doing transportation. Yes, okay, now it is being done by human beings. But then given technology now, we are having what we call driverless vehicles. Driverless vehicles, things like drones. Yeah? But then even normal vehicles, given technology now, maybe it has not come to Africa yet, but then because you want me to talk about 21st century, we are going to see vehicles that have been driven, that will be self-driven actually. Felix Mlaki should be here, was supposed to be here. We had a presentation with him in Zanzibar, and his first slide, what he showed us is a plane. We are all on plane. We are about to take off. Actually, we have taken off, and then here comes a pilot who is saying, now we are going to fly 5 hours non-stop. I am your pilot. I am sitting at home. Yeah, it's a driverless, pilotless plane. Are you going to jump out of plane? But that's how far a technology has come. So in terms of human resources, really it means now there are people who will be losing jobs due to these machines. Peter, Daniel, and others have been teaching you what's called labor-intensive and capital-intensive mode of production. Now, if we, the more we automate workplaces, it has a lot of implication for you, HR. For example, now in the transportation sector, talking about the changing business models, you don't need to own vehicles in order to own a transportation company. So, my friend, one day you have to sell all your vehicles, and in point here we are talking about Uber as a business model. We are talking about Taxify as a business model. You don't need really to own vehicles in order to have, those companies. You don't need to own buildings, real estates, in order to run real estate business. If you think of B&B as a business model company, you don't really need to own those kind of stuff. But then in the context of HR, here the key point is we are seeing disruption. Technology of the 21st century is disrupting almost everything. It is removing us from what we call our comfort zones. So it has a lot of implications for what we call training and retraining. The kind of personnel, the kind of people that we'll be needing in our companies, they are not the kind of personnel that we have been needing in the other centuries or in our traditional companies. We are saying, given the technology that is coming now, we will be demanding and will be demanded really to have a new, what we call skills and talent sets. You guys, HR people, I joke with you, I say you are hiring and firing manager. Now the kind of people that you are hiring will no longer be the traditional people that you used to hire. The 21st century technology demands quite a new set of skills and talent. I was talking to bankers, for example. We talked in Zanzibar, and then I had a talk again at Bank of Tanzania. We said, given the technology now, you need people who are technology savvy. We need what I call people who are, technology savvy. They know technology a lot because this is the one that is going to run organizations and businesses. So, in this context, and this is one of those disruptions that we are talking about, you as HR, you should know the kind of people to recruit, the kind of people to retain, but also the kind of training that we'll need. Because changing, the way these technologies are changing, there are a lot of people who will be laid off. There are people who will be made redundant, Now, you as a HR Do you know exactly the new skill sets and talents that will be needed for your organization for the 21st century? Because things are changing fundamentally. We had a talk with bankers, and we talked about, the question of, the banking culture, because technology is changing almost everything, is disrupting actually. And the talk was on that day, all of them were bankers except me. I was on my t-shirt, I think, and all had a tie and suit. And I told them, the question is, when we move to technology, it will be a point where you need a lot of young men and women. And these young men and women, they are not so much comfortable in suit and tie, but then they can deliver in a technology-driven world. And the discussion was, should I employ this young man who is very technology savvy, who can run a 21st century bank, which will not need a brick and mortar. Gone are those days when you are going to have a brick and mortar organizations, everything now is almost on your phone, So really, gone will be the days when we'll be having, for example, banks with virtual branches. Now it is mainly young people who can run those organizations. Now for the banking was, we should recruit more youth. And these youth are saying, if you have to recruit us, you also have to understand the youth culture. We won't put on the ties and, So if you insist as HR, say, if you don't appear on a tie and suit, I'm not going to give you your job. Yes, they won't come. You'll have us, all the people, with suit and tie. I'm not talking about you, sir. But then we are not so much technology savvy. But then those companies, those organizations that understand where the technology is going and where the kind of human resource that we need for the future. Yeah, those are people that are called the digital natives. Digital natives, people who live in the digital world. That's where exactly we are going. For when you are recruiting, when you are training, really, you have to, to know those kind of stuff. This is exactly where partly 21st century business models are moving. So we are talking about, for example, say here, issues like Internet of Things, but then artificial intelligence mainly, where again things will be, everything is operated by machines, or almost everything. We are seeing new business models. I've talked about this. We are going to see new organizational structures. Gone are those days where you'll be sticking to this, a pyramid organizational structure, the boss at the top. Organizations are becoming more flat and flat actually. Gone will be the days of a big boss on the top. So as HR, those are things that you have to know, because this is exactly where technology is taking us. As I'm saying, we are going to see new jobs and roles and new positions. I have a study that I've done. I have a paper on a separate side. It has shown all the jobs that are going to be extinct. The jobs that will be belonging to museum, to use this language, due to technology of the 21st century. So as HR, do you know those jobs which will be redundant in the future? I might not have answers, but now I'm posing questions to you, and maybe we'll discuss later. So you could see, for example, due to technology, there's jobs which are repetitive in nature. Those jobs that everybody can do after a while will be taken by machines. It's only what we call, high-skilled jobs that are going to need human beings. I do teach managerial economics, and some of my students, I tell them, when you have graduated, and please don't feel bad about this, with your MBA, for example, like Daniel, like Peter, and others, after a while, if I see you still doing repetitive jobs, really you are at danger. Because there's repetitive jobs. Even an elephant can be trained to do it. Because it's a repetition actually. And what technology is doing exactly that. It's picking up those jobs that can be coded, that I know after 2 minutes, do this, do that, and you'll lose your job. So I think it's time again, we know that technology is changing and is bringing new jobs, but it's taking some other jobs out of the market. Now the question for you as HR, do you know exactly this and how do you do it? So jobs description again are going to change. And I'm talking about this because I know a job description is part of what you HR people do, or rather we HR people do. So given the technology actually, for example, when you're talking about the Internet of Things, where everything is connected to everything, there will be no need actually of telling someone what to do, because his or her machine will tell him exactly what to do. You walk to office, everything, your day timetable is organized by your office assistant. I don't know. Some of us who are having this technology on our phone, for example, Siri. Some of you are having Siri on your mobile phones, for example. It will be booking your next flight. It will be booking your next meeting. It will be booking your next, etc. So once you do this, your personal assistant actually has no job again. Those kind of stuff. So I think it's good to think about those things. They might have not come into our organizations already, but then that's exactly where 21st century jobs will be going to. Again here, the question of new skills, I think I've said about this. Now the question is, do we need in our training, because you guys are also dealing with the training, do we have a plan to train and retrain these people? Because it's something that will be happening in our well, if I say in our lifetime, you may think it's maybe within 5 or 10 years, these changes will be coming in this part of the world, I'm sure. Have we prepared our people to migrate to these new technologies? Or are they all going to be laid redundant? Some people told me, these are Western things, it's a dream, it's a nostalgia, But I think, there is what we call a frog leaping. And a frog leaping is this situation where, for example, in Africa, organizations, people are able to jump some stages of development. We are not going to walk all the stages that Europe, that America walked before we see the 4th industrial revolution technology on this part of the world. So those of us who are responsible for training and retraining our people, actually we should be mindful that this is something that is of relevance to us. Almost coming to the end, of course, this implication to you when you are recruiting, for example. Yeah, emphasis now is on people who are technology savvy. Yeah, those of us who were born BBC, you know exactly what it means, born before computer. Effort now, emphasis is on people who are technology savvy. And when we are training, emphasis now is to train people to be future ready. Future ready. In our days, we are trained, for example, myself, I was trained to be an economist. To be more specific, to be economic planner. Dr. Mbura was maybe trained to be a marketer. My friend was trained to be, I know he's a technician. This was a strange man. A trained accountant, but now an expert in farming and everything. We are business partners, so I know him. A trained medical doctor, now supplying things that have nothing to do with him. Medical doctor as such. But then what's the point? The secret is really training yourself to be future ready. We are saying this because technology is bringing in a lot of dynamics. Is making the world very dynamic. Nothing is cast in stone. Nothing is static. Everything is subject to change. So really we should be ready to be future ready. Even if when I train my student to be economist, I normally tell them now, in the early days I'll train them to be economist. Now I'm training them to be future ready, whatever that future will be. You may not really apply your economics in the future, but then if you are flexible enough, you will cope. Gone are those days of following Darwin. Charles Darwin told us, those who can compete, the strongest will be able to, survival for the fittest. Now, with this technology, that's not the point. The point now, those who will survive are the most adaptable. The more you can adapt to the changing world, and this world is being changed by technology, you are the one who really can survive in the future. The other thing that I should now be finishing, I think, is the question, of course, change organization culture. And a change organization culture is what we call the millennial factor. Millennial factor, and that's why I am so happy that these young kids are here. Because, the future of organizations belong to the millennials, to the teenagers, to young men and women who are very technology savvy. I call them digital natives. They live in the world of digits. Some of us, like myself, I should say, if my phone misbehaves and my kids are not at home, I am totally helpless. Watoto wetu wanatubail out in a lot of things. So what I'm saying really, maybe that's the coming century, and now you might know, Davos now, we're having World Economic Forum, where youth really have been given quite a number of seats. They're speaking a lot on the future of organization, where we are saying really the future belongs to the millennials, partly due to technology. So coming to the end, I'm sorry if I've taken too much time, is again insisting that in terms of organizations, we are likely to say goodbye, to kiss goodbye what we call brick and mortar organizations, you know. We are continuous, for example, at universities level. I once spoke this at Mzumbe. I'm not sure whether they understood me. Now I'll be speaking again to you. I've been speaking to bankers again. Gone will be the days of a brick and mortar university. I won't need these walls here to run a university. You can run a university in your mobile phone. Gone are those days where EPVAT will need a building as big as this to be a consulting company. Given technology that we are having today, actually everybody can do almost everything everywhere. I'm seeing Deo here. Mikono speakers. Yes, you have been bringing the world speakers here. I'm not discouraging, but given technology, they may stay in the US and deliver to us here. Through, again, you know, technology. So, friends, to wind it up all, it was all about actually just an introduction on the world in the 21st century, and I've chosen this angle of technology, and I think those are part of the things that I could speak about. If you need my full papers, I think I've written almost 5, 6 exactly on this. The impact of industrial revolution for people in the logistics, for accountants, for economists, I can share through EPVAT. So thank you.